Alright, hello crew again. Mr. Tribble here, and today we're going to be talking really quick about our friend the periodic table and the elements. Here are the TEKs we're covering in this video. 8.5c, you will interpret the arrangement of the periodic table, including groups and periods, to explain how properties are used to classify elements. And 6.6a, you will compare metals, nonmetals, and metalloids using physical properties such as luster, conductivity, or malleability. Here's how it plays out really quick. That's our boy Dmitri Mendeleev, the fellow who created the periodic table. In this presentation, you will be able to answer the questions, what is the periodic table and what information can we gain from it? Here we have it, the big old terrifying thing. Recall that you will have one of these to use on essentially every quiz or test we do this 6 weeks, and also on the star itself. In fact, this is the very same one you will have on the star. The periodic table is grouped many ways, as we have learned. First off, you have the metals right over here. Everything to the left of your stair-step line, everything to the left are metals. Everything to the right of the stair-step line are your non-metals. Your one exception is, of course, hydrogen, hanging out way up here. Hydrogen is a gas and, of course, a non-metal. So, Mr. Tribble, what about that little stair-step line? Please remember that if the element is sitting on the stair-step line, it is called a metalloid. Right along this line here, you are looking at your metalloids, just like that. Pretty cool, nah? So, metals, non-metals, and metalloids. All your metals over here, all your non-metals over here, all your metalloids right along this little line here. So that part's easy, but what differentiates the three? What makes them special? Please remember, metals are shiny. They have luster. Luster is the word you're looking for here. Metals will also conduct heat and electricity very well. They are malleable, which means they can be hammered into sheets, and they are ductile, which means they can be stretched into wires. We proved this with the lab that we did on Thursday. Nonmetals, on the other hand, at room temperature, they are either gases or they are very brittle. They shatter if you hit them with a hammer, and they also don't conduct heat or electricity particularly well. Metalloids, as you recall, are somewhere in the middle. They can be lustrous, maybe not as bright as metals. They somewhat conduct heat and electricity, and they are more brittle than metals are. So, metalloids sit right in the middle. Now, how is another way that the periodic table is arranged? Remember that the first thing you have are periods. The periods are the rows that go across, 1 through 7, just like this. And remember that all the elements in the rows have the same number of valence shells, the same number of electron energy levels. That is to say, if you're in period 1, you have 1 valence shell. If you're in period 2, you have 2 valence shells, and so on and so on and so on. That is to be contrasted with the columns, groups or families as they're called. As you go down the periodic table, recall that means you have the same number of valence electrons. If you're in group 1A over here, you have 1 valence electrons. Group 2A over here, 2 valence electrons. All the way over here to group 8A with 8 valence electrons. Remember, if you're in the same group, you have the same number of valence electrons. Mr. Tribble, what the heck are valence electrons? Well, this is where we ended our last presentation, and remember, valence electrons work like this. When you have a full energy level, then of course you have to drop your next electrons in the next energy level as you go out. Any electrons that are in that last energy level are called your valence electrons, and it is they that determine how atoms react with other atoms. Recall your alkali metals way over here in column number 1. They are all metals, and they are all very reactive. They all tend to explode, if you remember the video. Okay, we studied these in our other lab with the cards. We have our alkali metals here, alkaline earth metals here, halogens here, noble gases here. If you're looking at valence electrons, 1 valence electron, 2 valence electrons, 7 valence electrons, 8 valence electrons, and all like that. All right, in summary, the periodic table is just a map of all the building blocks of matter, all the atoms out there. You have 3 kinds: metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. If you're in the same column, you have the same number of valence electrons. If you're in the same period, you have the same number of valence electron shells. You have the same number of energy shells. Okay, that's about all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.